Buenos días, nos encontramos en el Hotel Morrison en Bogotá para entrevistar al cineasta de Montreal, Louis Morin, que nos está visitando para el Masterclass de la Fundación Cine Media. Esta entrevista es para el Grupo de Investigación LOGOS de la Universidad Sergio Arboleda, que está trabajando la imagen en las redes de las nuevas tecnologías. Louis Morin es experto en efectos visuales y ha trabajado con renombrados directores del cine contemporáneo como Martin Scorsese en Aviator, trabajó en Eternal Sunshine y en Source Code. Es un placer para nosotros tenerlo hoy acá, señor Morin. Muchas gracias por aceptar esta entrevista. Okay, good morning. Thank you for giving me this interview. It's very important for our research group in philosophy of technology. Our group is named LOGOS, and we are trying to give a concept of digital image. So with your experience and knowledge in visual effects, maybe you can answer some questions we have in this thing. So I want to talk about the iconic term. Do you know about how the image, the traditional image has changed? And we are not working, before was the concept of image in relation with, always in relation with art. And now we have the image that is with the new technology is multiplied, and we have the image in a medium, in films, in many things, in advertisement. So the iconic term is about how this concept of traditional image has changed. Mm-hmm. And how I want to ask you, how is the influence of this iconic term and the phenomena of new technologies in visual effects?
When I first started in the film business, we were doing like films on film, and the editing part also was done like on editing tables. I experienced the switch of digital imaging, which is a huge revolution for cinema, for anything that occurred in the world. Cell phones, smartphones, all this has evolved rapidly and never stops. I mean, there's the Moore's law that says that every year and a half, things get twice faster. Okay. We're maybe at the end of that, but so far it's still occurring.
That's true. Thank you. There's a German philosopher called Walter Benjamin, and he just said in 1936 in the work of art in the age of technical reproduction, I want to quote him, "Technical reproduction of art changes the reaction of the masses toward art. Their reactionary attitude toward a Picasso painting changes into the progressive reaction toward a Chaplin movie." What do you think about this quote note from Benjamin? He just said it before in the early 30s, and now we are in the 21st century, and he prognosticated this revolution in art. Mm-hmm. What do you think about it?
That's a good question. I think the perception, everything has evolved. I mean, if I refer to what I know.
Okay.
Obviously, like filmmaking, for example. Like if you watch an old movie, like a 1920 movie or 30, and you listen to the pacing of the editing of a movie, it's really, really slow.
Okay.
I mean, because people were not used to the media and to the film. And as things has evolved, I mean, if you look at a film now, I mean, how many cuts there are in a movie is just like incredible. So the ability for a person to capture images is so much greater than it has ever been. And I have a son, a 2-year-old son, and he's already like playing on the iPad, like with his finger, like he's not even 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
So
great.
The relationship to a machine that brings those images is totally different, and it's immediate versus if you had to see a Picasso painting, you had to go to the museum, you had to buy the ticket, you had to make the effort. Now You open your computer, boom, you got
Yeah,
all kinds of
because-
images, and not all good.
That's true.
Unfortunately.
Yes. You have also worked with Jacob van Dormel, the director and writer of Mr. Nobody. You work in this film. He chose in his film, this film is based on Ochronis, and he's working about, he's doing a reflection of the new technologies in the human race, until the point that love and death are no more part of humanity. We can say that heroes and thanatos have disappeared, and the human being has discovered through new technologies the eternal life. What do you think about it, about this theme of Mr. Nobody?
Nobody's, it's one of the best movies I've worked on. I spent 2 years of my life in this movie, and I got really involved. Like reading the script the first time is like puzzling, because it's kind of like it is a puzzle, and you have this character that lives maybe 11 different lives at
Yes.
once. And that's a big challenge, and you wanted to explore also the scientific approach of the butterfly effect. So that anything can change your relationship or your life. Single butterfly span may change that. So all this was really interesting. I was just questioning the ending of the movie, because he wanted to basically to have like all good endings for all good characters.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure about that,
Okay.
but that's the director, and that's his film, and I have to respect his vision. So I
Okay.
saw him recently, and I said, "Would you change anything from your movie now that it's done?" And he said, "No."
No. Very good.
So that means he's quite happy with
Yes.
the result of it.
Yes, a very good movie. How was your experience with working with Jaco, with visual effects?
It's always interesting to work with directors, because especially a guy like Jaco, he didn't shoot movies for maybe 9 years.
Okay.
It took him 10 years to write this script.
Wow. Yeah, because it's very complicated.
Yeah,
I can
it's
understand
very
it.
complicated.
Yeah, I can understand it.
And so meeting with me was just a new experience, because the all visual effects world was foreign for me. We didn't know about it. But as we came to explain things and how I would do things, he got really involved and knowledgeable. At a point that when he was like really busy, he was like saying, "Oh, I know what to do."
Okay.
So well, we had a great relationship.
Okay.
We remained friends.
Very good. Great. Tell us about the developing of visual effects, new technologies, from Aviator and Eternal Sunshine from 2004 to Source Code 2011, and On the Road, the last movie you work on.
When if we look at 2000, there's not a big change, but there's always changes. Like every 6 months or every year, there's going to be a new software, a new thing that you can use in visual effects. If we look at the Aviator, for example, I mean, a lot of visual effects, I wasn't the supervisor on it, I was just like doing part of the show. A lot of effects are done in camera,
Okay.
like with miniatures and all this. And as we evolve, less and less in-camera effects are done, and more are done digitally, because the computer are much faster, much more powerful. The software are much better, so we have that. There's one thing I think that may interest you also is in source code, we used artificial intelligence. I think
Very interesting. Wow.
So this was invented for Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
The software is called Massive.
Massive.
And what they developed is basically characters that could behave by themselves.
Wow.
And operated by an agent, which is an agent of artificial intelligence. So basically, they give rules to those soldiers, and they have to react to those rules. So they can't bump into each other. They can even slice each other if they want. I've used it on not a war movie, but just like people walking, and on Source Code, for example. So they had to run away from a possible bomb threat in Chicago. So you had maybe 50,000 people walking across the street, and we had like maybe 2,000 cars. That it would be impossible to do this
in reality. Wow.
And you have this software that manages all those cars, so they move accordingly on the line, and the people are reacting to the cars that are there. Some were even like jumping on cars and all this. So that's very interesting, because in the visual effects, I feel that we're at the beginning of what may become, I mean, the first robots, you know, the first androids. Like the software like this will be the precursor. They'll say, oh, all artificial intelligence was based on those first software used in cinema.
How's called the software?
Sorry?
How is the name of the software?
Massive.
Massive. That is very interesting for me, because we are also starting a new project. We are introducing in our university cognitive architecture and artificial intelligence. So as you say, it's very interesting for our investigation.
Yeah. There's other software that does similar things. Behavior, I think, from Saftimage is another one. But it's interesting what you can do with this also. I mean, the application could be tremendous in the near future. I mean, I don't have anything really in mind, because you have to have like in visual effects, you have like a problem. Your director wants something that's impossible, and then you have to figure out how you're going to do it.
Okay.
But you could use this for a storm. You could use this for destructions of buildings. You could use this for growing fields. All this could be, we could generate a world that lives on its own, basically.
Wow. Interesting. What do you think about media theory or film theory? Do you think it contributes to the work of filmmakers, or it just stays in the world of theory, in the clouds of theory, and don't have an impact on reality?
You're talking about the
philosophy of film, theory of film.
Theory of film.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think the filmmakers I work with are concerned about theory. I think what they're concerned about is, and that's what great films are, it's like conveying emotions.
Okay.
So how can you achieve to convey emotions? I mean, there's standards, there's ways of, making, let's say an American movie, just 3 acts with the plot points, the emotional arc of the main character, and all this. What I'm interested in is going above this, trying to work on films that are like aiming higher than this.
Okay.
I think Mr. Nobody was one of them, because it's really original in the structure.
Yes.
Eternal Sunshine was another one. It was really interesting, trying to erase memories.
And the
It's
young
really
people
powerful
here
film.
in Colombia love Eternal Sunshine. It's like an icon for them,
Yeah.
for the young
I think
filmmakers.
it's a lot of people, but I mean, it's the freshness of the movie. Like, some people think that there's no visual effects in this movie, which is absolutely not true.
Wow.
So it's good for us, just like being able to tell stories without having the audience to know it. So there's other movies I haven't worked on, like The Tree of Life.
Yes.
That I think it's again another way of trying to tell a story. And even people, actors on set, like were saying to the director, "What are you doing? What are you saying?" He didn't want to say. The same for Jaco, like he wanted to keep this to himself, and knowing what he wanted as the end result. And that's the kind of directors that I'm trying to find.
Yeah, you have got great directors, no?
So far, so good.
Yeah, so far so good. Very good. What is digital illusionism?
Digital illusionism, it's not a term that we use, but I think I understand what they mean, is that how much magic do we put into movies? A lot. I mean, a lot. And nowadays, even myself that work in the business, I can go and see a movie and not know what was done in CG or in visual effects. It does happen. So it's like there's artists and nowadays that can make the illusion work 100%.
Oh, great.
And that's what I try to do in every movies I work. I try to be to make visual effects so it's seamless, so nobody think of it.
Okay.
Obviously, if you make a spaceship and you go to Mars,
Yes.
well,
You
they'll
can-
know you were involved.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they can stay in the story and not worry about the look of the image, and then I've done my job.
So the last question, are you always transforming the traditional image with
Sorry?
the visual effects? Are you always making a transformation of a traditional image with the visual effects?
There's so many ways now. Yes, I try. My philosophy is like, you know, I always make the reference to my spaghetti sauce because I'm a
Awesome.
good chef.
Okay.
And the key thing is when you're in the film and you're shooting is to do acquisition. Acquisition meaning I have to go and get everything I need to do the visual effects. And it's very often it's many shots, many layers, many elements that needs to be shot. And so I gather everything possible live, and then you can resort to visual effects like in terms of CGI, which is like completely digital imaging, which is not done through a camera, it's done through a computer.
Through a computer.
And then you get whatever you need more, you can do otherwise. So I like to have like live images, so you get the feel of live imaging, because digital imaging often looks too perfect, too clean. So you have to find references and all elements possible to make a shot believable.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for
My
giving me
pleasure.
this interview, and I hope it will be very helpful for our research in Logos Group. Thank you very
Gracias.
much. Gracias.